Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Group 4 match here in the Deathmatch tournament. Dionysus's Delight. Love this title. Biggest Deathmatch tournament that we've ever had so far. I think we can do better. We can go bigger. Buster in the blue color is 4. On the other side, we've got in the red color Strausshaus playing as Poseidon. Buster, you might know him as Jim Carrey. He's just playing on an alternate name. So he's pretty high ranked in the deathmatch ladder. I've not seen him in a tournament ever. So it's gonna be really cool to see what he can do in that environment. Strausshaus is a long time deathmatch player as well. Converted from Supremacy, of course. We cast a Vololo on him and it worked. Crazy. Well, he's building a really nice military academy wall, and that will basically support him pushing forward. But going up against a Norse can be tough sometimes. They can be all over the map. They can take town center super easily. And you know, to everyone that's just joined, Deathmatch starts with 20,000 resources, right? Why have I got this view? It's not a cast... It's not a spectator mode view. Why do I have the player UI? This is... I just realized. Anyways. Buster essentially just placed a lot of buildings up front, and he's gonna get flooded so freaking hard right now. He himself is not flooding, and he's spending a little bit too much on making Herdman. I know it's the closest key to the numbers being Q, but you cannot make this against Poseidon in the early game. You will get Hippospis flooded, and they're gonna hard counter this. What you need to do is spam out a lot of berserks because they train fast, and then supplement them with a little bit of throwing axemen to actually survive. Building fast is great, or trading fast is great, because then you can build more. But, you know, you actually need some damage to your army, and the throwing axeman does provide that. They're very difficult to engage, and Strauss gets beaten back. Buster has figured it out. That is great. That is great. He's got a rather decent god path as well. Fire Giants actually got buffed for this deathmatch mod that we're using, and they are at 700 health now instead of 600. So that should help them hugely. Pestilence is ready to go, and it covers a huge area. With right now, Buster's population being maxed, but not having that much behind that, including no town centers just yet. The Cyclops is bullying him. Oh, what is going on with that berserk? I'm just looking forward to Strauss casting his god power. Pestilence is going to be an absolute game changer if he can get it. And there's a Pestilence. It's... oh my god, it's covering everything. He used it where the Nemean lion died over there. And if Strausshaus can just wipe this army out, there will be basically no replacement. Pestilence drastically reduces unit train speeds, and it is getting felt. Strausshaus himself has a second town center and a third one in the works. So in terms of resources, he should be in a pretty good position still. He's got some population left to go. An archer blob would be very important to put together now. Perhaps the most important thing. He's stolen the healing spring, which is a huge boon here to the Greek army. He's got some Hetyroi out. He's got Curse ready to go, so he can turn a bunch of these throwing axemen into piggies. But his production just isn't quite there. He's spamming 8 Hetyroi from just the one fortress. Ideally, that would be several fortresses pumping several of these at once. But yeah, our Norse player's production is just better. And at some point, I would suspect he would overwhelm Strauss at this rate, if he keeps that going. Just looking at population, it's 100. Oh god. Oh god, Strauss is really struggling, and he's facing flaming weapons right now. That what we see right now with those Toxotes and Hippospis, that's what we should have seen earlier. Buster's unit stopped. They didn't continue their move. Berserkers will be tearing down this fortress during flaming weapons. They have 19.2 attack. The Helipolis have evaporated to the flaming weapons axis. Not seeing any myth units so far from Buster, but Strauss is just dropping in population at ever-increasing speeds. This is nasty stuff. Atalanta tried to soak some damage up, but it didn't really work. And now with a bunch of Goldie getting added in, even if Strauss had some myth units, they'd be torn down pretty fast. But he doesn't have any. Why doesn't he have any myth units? There's 180 favor, right? I guess he doesn't want to make Colossi, because gold is a problem right now for Strauss. But he has 3 town centers. A Norse player's working on it. Currently on 2. Third one coming up soon. So that population disparity will go away shortly. The Toxotes Ball still doing work, and as long as Strauss has buildings around this healing spring, it's his. That's perhaps the biggest of deals. We only have 1 hero here for Strauss, so dealing with the Fire Giants, not the easiest thing, and those splash attacks do hurt your archers significantly, but as long as Healing Spring can fix it, all is well. I'm not sure Strauss can afford all his cavalry though, guys. Those Hetyroi are really expensive at 90 gold. Everything costs gold. I'm not sure how he can do it, but maybe there's hope here. He just turned 12 units into piggies. That is enormous. Kurt's got a small buff in the DM mod, and therefore I'm starting to like his chances now all of a sudden. Of course, Buster is trying to remake an army, but it's mostly throwing Axemen into an established Toxotes Ball, which has regenerated. Buster's running out of resources. This might be actually super close and tight. A bunch of Huskarl, a bunch of raiding cavalry are coming in. They might be able to go after the Toxotes. Let's see a nice little flank. Don't want to see the raiding cavalry fighting the heroes up front. They wouldn't be doing much there. It looks to me that raiding cav are getting picked off one by one. Strauss reinforcing this relatively nicely. In terms of resources, he still has a little bit. He's got 28 people on gold. That should sustain his current needs. But you gotta be really careful to not overdo Helipolis when you're not like super winning. They're not a good part of the army because they just get torn to shreds by the North army, which is basically all hack damage. So yeah, you don't want to make Helipolis for that. Rather make some myth units like Colossus or Nemean Lions for the stuns. Anything but that. Anything but Helipolis. And Strauss must have lost like 6. I also don't really like when deathmatch players cast lure as a meme. It's not a meme. It will attract hunts to your base. Use it. Use it wisely. You need every little bit that you can get. And the chicken gather rate is not that bad either. It acts as a drop-off point, gives you some free chickens. Why not make use of it, right? Ooh! Ooh! He's spending all his favor. Here come the Cyclops. Can Strauss hold? He's got 18 villagers hunting and farming. It's not looking too bad, but I do think he has to stop the caravans because that's just consuming everything he's got. Our Norse player is also spamming caravans. They're 58, 55 gold per trip. That's not great. I have to say that's not so good. Honestly, Buster is kind of falling apart too. 140 population and these guys have beaten each other to death. He should still be able to get out some food and gold cost units. And he's got favor for days. I bet he wishes he went Fimbulwinter now so he could use that god power at least. But here comes the bonky boy. Polyphemus is going bonkers. I just wanted to say that. Anyway. Can he actually connect with the... Oh, come on. That wasn't the Fire Giants. I was so ready. This healing spring somehow still belongs to Strauss because it cares about the buildings. That's nuts. Okay, Fire Giant's toast. Polyphemus keeps tanking. The Cyclops also has some AoE damage, by the way. So some of these... all of these throwing axemen are dead. I wasn't ready for that. And neither was Buster. How's he gonna recover from this? Just... financially, it doesn't seem legible. Oh god. He's okay. He's got 57 villagers plus caravans. Just needs to pump now. Get in those cavalry units. But he's not making any of them. He's trying to make Huskarl the least easy unit to afford in this moment. Strauss has made extra tempos for the Nemean Lions. He's bringing in the Colossa. He's establishing the late game army standards. This is looking pretty damn good. The Cyclops are bonking the throwing axemen, and they're not very resistant to that kind of business. Meanwhile, the healing spring keeps helping Strauss. He's expanding all over. He should be able to set up a front here with some Petrobolas, with some towers, and siege down that town center. Neon Lion stunning the army. I really like the addition of Peltas. That will help to deal with both the ranged heroes as well as the throwing axemen. They deal counter damage to both 4x, and they're barely worse than the Toxotes in terms of actual DPS. So Toxotes, you've got 10.1, Peltas, you've got 5.8, you know, x4. They're gonna do a much better job against these specific units. You just have to micro. Ooh, big bonk. Big bonk. Everybody gets knocked back as well. The Archer Ball is taking out every single unit that heads their way. Buster is looking busted. Strauss just keeps going with his siege. He's got boys inside the Helipolis to make it do some more damage. It's not that much more damage, but it's something. One building after the other getting shredded. We finally have the Petrobolas push here as well. Two of them, but will be pushed back by the Fire Giant. Strauss can now do this all day. The Ragnarok is getting called. Oh boy. The Ragnarok heroes did get a little bit of a buff, so they're like kind of a hearse here in terms of stats. They were weaker beforehand, but can they actually put a stop to this kind of army? I mean, they certainly can handle the Toxotes and the Nemean Lions and the Helipolis. But then what happens to the economy? Strauss can pump out units, no problem. He's getting new Toxotes, he's getting Hippospist, and remember, they are buffed with the Sword of Deimos. So Buster, he just doesn't have resources behind. Having to remake houses now without wood. So that means he has to sell gold that he gets from his trade route, and it's not a big trade route. The Hippospist will absolutely shred the Ragnarok heroes as well. It's gonna be nasty, and they get knocked back, by the way, by Polyphemus. That's just another thing. So I think Strauss House should be relatively comfortable here. It's also flooding at the other Ragnarok army. That was certainly a desperation Ragnarok, ladies and gentlemen. We've got not even flaming weapons used with them. I mean, it was available the whole time, right? Why didn't he use flaming weapons? That would have been so good. Might have been enough to push back Strauss. Well, now he's using it, but now you don't have population, sir. It's less than max pop. So it was better to have an army before than it is this. Oh no. Yeah, I think Strauss is gonna just manhandle this. He's got an income behind this. He can pull back. He's not even losing population. He's spamming so much now. that he can just maintain his pop and keep going. Oh, I'm getting corrected that there was cooldown. Fair enough, fair enough. Still doesn't work. Still does not work. I think with that, I think we can safely say that Strausshaus should be winning this now. Especially with Polyphemus just running after Fire Giant. Strauss definitely got everything together now. He's destroyed the forward town center and is going to be victorious in this one. But it is a best of 3, so we've got other games to go through. At least one more. 710 kills to 564 is pretty wild stuff. Okay, here we go with game 2 now. Just in time. As predicted, Strausshaus in the blue is going to be playing as Hades. His opponent on the other side of the map, Buster, aka Jim Carrey, will be playing as Odin, unexpected, and it is difficult as a matchup. Odin, I mean, we buffed it a little bit in the DM mod, right? But I don't particularly think he does great against Hades. So he's gonna have to pull a bunny out of a hat, or 2 of them, or a bear bunny, I don't know. He's gonna come up with something, because you can't just make a standard Norse army and beat Super Toxotes. Although Strausshaus, for whatever reason, went Athena as Hades, so he's not going to have Super Toxotes. He's not going to have Pestilence in the early game to knock Norse down a peg. Maybe I'm wrong. He's also gone Apollo, so that at least is in order. Strange situation to be in. As for minor gods here, we got Skadi, we got Freya. So the cavalry is supposed to be pretty good. The throwing axemen are going to be really good. Farming is going to be nice, although Odin doesn't really need farming, you just hunt. The Great Hunt is actually so recastable for deathmatch purposes that you can just basically hunt in your initial patch wherever you choose it, like here on the drafts. That would be great. You just hunt forever. But are we gonna get to that point? Because Strausshaus is all over this again with Hippospis, with Toxotes. I think they're gonna show the Norse who's boss if he just gets his fortress up in time and pre-queues the Mythic Age. It's gonna be Hephaestus that he picks. So yeah, no Super Toxotes whatsoever here. And the Norse Flood should be strong enough to hold, in my opinion. There's enough throwing axes here that Hippospis flooding is just not going to do the job, ladies and gentlemen. And there's gonna be Fire Giant follow-ups, which Hades actually has a little bit of trouble working against. You know, you can definitely pick off one at a time with Perseus, but you really have to micro that guy carefully. Pull him back every time he gets a petrification, and from there is good, but you don't want to run into mass throwing axes because he gets deleted in a jiffy. And those throwing axes are absolutely shredding through the Hippospis. Strauss needs to be watchful of that, because this is not a way to make it to the mid game. He might get the second town center here and maybe even the third, but I'm afraid if he keeps doing that, he will run out of food. Gotta be really careful with that. A Norse player has so far spent more resources, especially gold, but you know, you get yourself a bunch of ramps out, you freeze the army here, and that should basically cover you. Also, this isn't the full Norse army. Half of it is basically building back there, and he's still pushing with just pure throwing axes. This is nuts. Obviously, you won't be able to push into the towers. Maybe a handful manticores are required here to clean up. Strausshaus for now is pumping Colossi, however. They're gonna be a good tank, but they're not gonna be killing the throwing axemen. That's their issue, really. They're good against buildings, and especially in the late game when you have a lot of gold, you can just randomly pop out a bunch from 3-4 temples in the side or something. Yeah, Hades' bonus does give them a lot of extra hit points, to be fair. That is something to keep in mind. They're really good at the tanking job, but what Strauss will need to accomplish is to have a massive ball of Toxotes and fight back against this directly. Also, it's very important to not use the Perseus ability on humans, because yeah, he can petrify humans. It's kind of a waste of his ability. You want to use that on Mythians. Great push, however, from Buster, and he's got that Frost ready to go whenever. He's got 3 town centers. Population-wise, he's looking great as well. If he can add some Ballista in, I'm really not sure what Strauss can do. I guess the Petrobolas can snipe the Ballista rather well, but if all the Petrobolas are dead, they can't do anything. I know, very, very smart comment, don't at me. Strauss has a 3rd town center. No favor gatherers, however. Meanwhile, our Norse player has 500 favor. Holy shit. That's insane. He can cast 2 frosts whenever it comes back. This is nuts. The Hippospis keep flooding. Strauss's resources keep getting evaporated. And now it's very important for the throwing axemen to start focusing on the buildings so that they can very quickly get rid of them. They do have a double multiplier against buildings thanks to burning pitch being upgraded, of course. And yeah, that will just shred everything here. Shouldn't be any issue whatsoever. Going after the towers one by one at this point. The Ballista are still shedding this fortress, doing a pretty good job of it too. And we are gonna see a bunch of Jarls added in to tank on the front lines. We also have some raiding cav. But for now, the fortresses and the town center and the tower still are here. Strauss has a good army put together. He's finally near the pop limit, and this time everybody's fighting. Unfortunately, the Toxotes are walking into whatever. I don't even know where they're going. They're getting surrounded, however, by the cavalry, and that's not so great. None of these units can beat Jarls. Okay, so that's a huge, huge problem right now. They're regenerating almost as fast as they're taking damage. That's the crazy part. Restoration will be very helpful for Strauss, however, to keep going a little longer, but the throwing axemen are still shredding through his army. He's not had an answer to this all game. Very important to recognize it as early as possible. I think this is going the Norse way this time, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the Shades of Hades coming through, but it's just a little bit too late for them to turn this fight around. There's no more food for Strauss. He's not gathering enough food to begin with. He's on wood, right? But he doesn't have food. More shades, but yeah, even if he can make all these towers, eventually the Ballista will chip through it. And Strauss just doesn't have what it takes to stay in this game at the moment. I think we're gonna be moving to game 3, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very, very broke Greek player. Our Norse player has resources. As long as he just remembers to make a few more waves of units, he will be absolutely stomping this location and denying Strauss his production next. After that, there's no way to come back. Strauss can't rebuild the buildings as well as the army. You would have to choose one. Sounds like a lose-lose to me. Okay, the fortress is getting torn down and the TC will be next. Buster's not making units. Okay, I had to say it. Now he is. Now he is. Town center's finally down. Strauss is certainly on the struggle bus, ladies and gentlemen. He's got nowhere to run. He's sticking with the game just in case the Norse player also runs out of resources. There's no clear read on this as the player. Obviously, we can see the exact situation up there, but Strauss can't. His villagers are about to get caught by these raiding cav. That's nasty stuff. You sure all of those are dead? They couldn't run. Now, one by one, these buildings are going to be deleted. And Strauss did choose in the end to rebuild the army. That's going to be an opportunity. He could do a underworld. That's his only hope. Unfortunately for him, Frost is available. So Buster is absolutely in control. If Strauss goes through an underworld, he just gets frozen and potentially resigns. I think that is the fate of this game, ladies and gentlemen. He's nearly at the pop cap. It's just about scouting the other side of the map at this point. Or are we gonna see that? I'm gonna fast forward because I'm getting impatient now. There's no way he's gonna walk it, right? Oh, he's walking it, dude. Okay, let's see if our Norse player will be responding to this. One hand of bullets should be enough to tear down the fortified town center, of course. And it all gets frozen. We're on 4 town centers now for Buster. He's heading to the main, knowing that it's completely undefended. Is this live? Yes. They're just a little bit ahead. Like 1 minute ahead. That's why I could fast forward a little bit. Alright, the town center is getting blasted by mass throwing axemen. And there's no way you can out-repair that. You would need so many Toxodis around to save the town center. Maybe if that extra villager was repairing, then there would be hope. But even then, it's not enough, I think. You would need all the villagers in the towers as well. Frost has ended, but Strauss didn't refocus his Colossus on the base. Gets picked off immediately by all those heroes. The other Colossus is randomly chilling. Town center will be going down. But it's a trade. It's not what Strauss would have wanted. Towers getting torn down. Maybe the Plenty Vault will get taken over at this point. There's a lot of Toxodis here. There's some hope against all these throwing axes, especially with the Peltas support. Our Norse player will have to remake that army, it looks like. Yeah, this is what Strauss would have been ideally looking for, but it's not so easy to do when there's other units in the mix getting on top of your Toxodis, right? You gotta really be active with your shift clicking and target the guys accordingly. But this is still a 3 town center Norse against a 1 town center Greek. Strauss is working hard to get back the main town center though. He should be getting that. And this time Strauss has Pegasi. They might be able to cross the map here if they don't fly over the fortress. And we should be seeing an underworld. Is there an opportunity here? Frost is coming off cooldown very quickly. 70 seconds left. It might not be usable in time, but Ragnarok would be. I think Buster could just use Ragnarok to defend against a possible underworld. Meanwhile, a massive raid group is chilling over here by the town center. Are they gonna actually take this thing down? That's insane. No way that will work. Seriously. Underworld Passage cast right on top of the army. He's gonna be taking this across the map on top of the villagers with the Toxotes. Interesting. He will be reducing the size of that Ragnarok drastically. Buster isn't even reacting just yet. Strauss took down the TC. Is there hope to come back? He's equalized the situation mostly. It's now just 80 villagers. And falling. That's crazy. Oh, he's still getting raided by the cavalry though. The cavalry never got dealt with. Strauss down on just 30 villagers. He doesn't have much of an income, but he does have a plenty vault. If only he had a stable game, he could get a second plenty vault by now, probably. The Toxotes defending this very, very nicely. We're not gonna see Ragnarok heroes. We are gonna see Ragnarok heroes. They're popping out. They're trying to go after this. Frost was available for now. And the Underworld is being destroyed. These guys will just surround the Toxotes. The help is coming, I think. Oh, is he not gonna send back more? He does need more than this. That's what you want, Toxotes. You can't fight that with like 15 Rag heroes. Yeah, you're just gonna take the front TC. That's again a 4 town center north. There's gonna be 2 fire giants. Okay, that's the help that was needed. Yes, very nice. The Rag heroes should be able to get into the trade route wall off this little segment. And get to go from there. The throwing X-Men just tearing through the Hippospis again. Not great for Strauss, definitely not. Dropping in population once more. The frost is expired. The fire giants are going after the Toxotes, and what Toxotes? They're gone. They're gone. It's all gone. The TC stays up at 266 health. Oh my god. Buster's now in Strauss's main base. The Ragnarok heroes tearing up everybody. The throwing X-Men could siege the town center by themselves. They don't need actual siege. They are the siege. I think he's really trying to capture this plenty vault, but that's not how it works anymore. In the old game, it was just units being able to capture like that, but now you actually need to clear the buildings first. So, Buster makes a score 1-1. We've got ourselves a longer series here. Going all the way to 3 games in this best of 3. It's good stuff. KD was very oh, he's got the blessed number. Or the other one. That's nice. Bit of a KD lead. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another round. What is this? We don't have the spectator UI again. Is this gonna just time out? They can't be already done. Strausshaus in the red color will be playing as Gaia. On the other side, in the blue, this is Buster playing as Oranos. This is a pretty volatile matchup. Look, Oranos does not start with hero citizens, but you do with Gaia, so you immediately have a build advantage. And if you don't go Prometheus, which I believe is the case here. Oh, wait, he did go Prometheus. He has Theft of Fire, Buster does. So yeah, as long as he has hero citizens, they'll be building faster now than the Gaia ones. The guys are spending a little bit too many villagers on manors. You don't need that many. Basically, 1 villager on the job is sufficient. It's all about the spam from here. We're gonna see a little bit of every unit type. Oh god. Somebody queued 15 Cairo Ballista. Mass palaces coming in. Atlanteans are really good at getting a lot of palaces up. You don't need to put... You ideally want to put 1 villager on 1 palace. But yeah, that's what it should look like, roughly. Ultimately, getting to 10 should be no big problem at all. We should see a lot of Arcus. We should see... maybe a handful of Hero Contarius when you advance through Theia, which both of them did. Because the Deathmatch mod brings back the Lance of Stone, giving them bonus against buildings, so you can use them to like deny town centers, knock down a palace real quick in the early game if you can catch the army out of position. I think those are some really good strats. Both players are advancing for different minor gods. There's not gonna be a Hecate war. So we've got the Guardian of Io from Atlas, and we've got the Warden of Tartarus from Helios. And the spam is looking a little bit favored for Strauss for the moment, but if the Contarius can just connect with these Archers, that will very quickly turn around. Yeah, Strauss is not retreating. He had a good army, but he's donating it, unfortunately for him. So he might actually be overrunning this one, even though he has all these palaces, which are, by the way, barely pumping units for him. I don't see the palaces making anything. Meanwhile, we've got Fire Siphons coming in. We've got Destroyers coming in from Buster. Unfortunately, it's all from one palace. He really needs more palaces, man. Citizen Hero is getting stabbed by this robot over there. Maybe Strauss will hold. He's got a lot of firepower in this. Still not making anything from the palaces as far as I can tell. Oh. You have to select the player to see what they're making. Okay. I forget. That's a very, very dangerous blob. You basically have to engage this with Myth units, or you engage it with Contarius. There's no other way. Could get a bunch of Term out, I suppose, and flank them. Cairo Ballista versus Cairo Ballista. You would have never guessed that this is what Deathmatch is going to be about. Actually, the answer to them is making a few Fire Siphons and just targeting them down because they don't have good crush armor. Something to keep in mind. What is this? It doesn't have a tooltip. Whatever this is, we will never know. Never seen that icon. Orano's icon is sick. How do you get that? There's a mod. This is the Orano's icon they used in the beta, and actually I prefer that one. It might have been AI assisted, but I like... Oh, the big blob! Boom! That acid explodes after a little time. And it just killed like 4 units. Very slightly buffed in the DM mod. If you can like get a few of those over the entire army here, you could clean up the entire thing technically. Buster allowed this to happen. He's in trouble now. That's why you need to have palaces. Strausshaus is gonna take this over. He just set a handful of units to clean up. That's crazy actually. Holding on the front lines. Should definitely get his own Hesperius tree because these Dryads in the long run are going to cause problems. Yeah, the Leto Pierce Armor actually is coming in very useful here for Strausshaus. Of course, Oranos doesn't have access to it, so Buster can't copy it. More Pierce Armor for Strauss than we're seeing for Buster. And I think finally the numbers are starting to add up. The 3 town centers versus just the 2. All these Archers are shredding the Cairo Ballista to bits. And they might be even enough to handle the Contarius for the most part, but they're kind of doing a great job flanking. There's some infantry there. They'll handle the situation. There are 3 Fire Siphons versus 1, so that's a very easy snipe. Siege on Siege is pretty good. Implode is ready to go for Strauss whenever he wants it. There's no rush here. Wait for the rest of the army to come in. Oh, wait. There's a chance to turn around. Buster. Here comes the suck. Oh my god, it's drawing everything in. Oh my god, I don't think anything's left. Just barely the high HP units. I stopped counting, but that was a sick stunt. Well done, Warden of Tartarus. Maybe 2000 degree flip. Vortexes are available, so if he can remax somehow, there's some hope here. But I think Strausshaus is in a really good position. He isn't sending anyone else to build up down there. Ideally, you would get a trade with Gaia, but the map is kind of crappy for trade, so I think you're gonna do it as a last resort. He's starting it up. Spreading a little bit of Lush will speed up the caravans and unit on it. And ideally, you actually want to spread the Lush to the fight so that your units run away faster or run towards the guys faster, reinforce faster, and regenerate. All that is super useful. And if you can somehow capture this Hesperides tree, he will get his myth units healed. He's currently got a bunch of Stymphalian birds up in the sky. Just gently supporting everything. And he's got the Hesperides tree. But he's leaving with the burbs. Where's he going? Oh, he's got some citizens to go after. But these are all heroes, so not gonna be the easiest thing. But the palace is coming up. Fanatics can handle the situation, I'm sure. Strauss is punching through the palace as well. It's pretty good stuff. What's the score? It's there! It's on the screen! I will say though, I should have swapped the sides. You make a good point. He didn't say anything, but it's implied. Isn't there something in that UI missing up top? Yes. The spectator mode didn't initiate. We're watching as if it was a replay, but it's not. Because the lobbies don't like showing themselves sometimes. Strausshaus is victorious as predicted, guys. He plowed through the middle. There was nothing that Buster could have done about it. Unfortunately, never used his vortexes, so that could have absolutely changed the game. But you can't play Atlantean mirrors with so few palaces. You'll get run over. You'll face a superior army. It's not good, but if you have vortexes ready to go with some fire ciphers and go around, start sniping town centers, kill a bunch of villagers, disrupt the economy, it can hit at a critical time for sure. We want to thank our MetaPlace website subscribers. Your contribution helps us keep the project sustainable. As we reach higher subscription goals, you are helping us cover more and more behind-the-scenes costs, such as video editing. Check out our subscription page using the link in the description, and remember to collect your perks. We will see you the next time.